So in a previous video, I explained how I got this job as a bank trader at age 19 and the stories behind that and what you can learn from that. Now, I want to talk about the first sort of 3 months or so. I was given 3 months probation as a trader. I had 3 months to prove myself in very difficult conditions. The market I was trading was crashing. There was all sorts of problems around me in that no one wanted me to have this job. Everybody was quite aggressive and antagonistic towards me. So I had 3 months, and I want to explain how in those 3 months, the first few lessons that I had to learn that helped me to become a good trader and to navigate through all this. The first thing was to stay calm. Now, I want to explain again its background that everybody around me, there were assistant traders, ticket writers, other traders who had promised jobs to assistant traders, were all extremely angry that I got this job. And they basically were doing everything they can to stop me being successful. This may seem odd. On the face of it, we're all part of the same team. We're the same investment bank. Every day we go out. We were market makers. We were making markets against about 10 other companies, all the big names, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, all of these names we were making markets against. You'd think we'd be a team. We'd go out there and face these other people together as a team, but that wasn't the case. These traders were doing trades on my book and not telling me. If I needed help because one of the warrants I was making markets in was moving quickly, this was a phone-based market. I needed people to get out on the phones quickly and find me those prices. They wouldn't help me. So this was not sort of me sort of believing this or having hallucinations that this sort of thing was happening. This was happening to me every day. They were every day trying everything they could to stop me from being profitable. And so I had this sort of pressure on me, and I had these people in my own team actively working against me. This at times caused me to lose my cool. And you may not see this now when you look at me, but in my early days, in those first couple of months, they ended up nicknaming me Psycho because I would get really angry at times. Now, I think it's, looking back even then as a 19-year-old under so much pressure, you can see the justification when my own teammates are basically trying to hurt me and cause me to lose money. But I had to grow up quickly, and I had to realize, which I did, that this was hurting my trading. I was fighting against them, and that wasn't the thing that I needed to do. So the first thing I had to do really was to calm myself down. Now, you at home, I know a lot of retail traders talk about the they think that they are hurting them. Now, often that's because you're using technical analysis and your levels are so clear that you do become sometimes the exit liquidity for some bigger traders because they can just see these technical levels so easily. But most of the time, the big players are not targeting you. They're not worried about you. And this is often, unfortunately, in your head that you're being attacked. But if you get angry at people around you, even in my case, it was justified. But if you get angry at people around you, you won't trade the markets properly. You have to calmly trade. You're not battling anybody. You're not fighting anybody. You are just trying to get in tune with the markets. That's very different. You're not fighting. So the first thing I had to learn, the first thing I'm going to say to you is to remember your job is to be in tune with the markets and be calm. And if you're ever using that excuse of they are doing this, you are a long way from achieving the right frame of mind to be trading with. Okay. As I say, even in my sense, I had justifiable anger towards what was happening, but that didn't help me to trade and I had to stop. The second thing is, when I looked around me, I wanted to learn how to trade. I had a problem. All the traders around me were losing money every day. They were terrible traders. So what could I do with that information? Well, it's still information. So what I can do is learn from it. As traders, we can definitely learn from our own mistakes, and most of you will see that. But we can also learn from the mistakes of others. So that's what I tried to do. I saw the mistakes they were making again and again, such as, well, one of the classic ones was small losses. They would not take small losses. And then I saw small losses become bigger losses, become bigger losses. So if I had a small loss in a warrant in a position that I really didn't quite know or didn't quite want, it went. I sold it, I got out, I exited the trade very quickly. That was a massive benefit to me. So there were lessons for me to learn from the people around me by studying what they were doing wrong. And that's the next thing I'll say to you. There are lots of failing traders out there. Ask yourself, can you learn from them? The third thing that I decided I needed to do is, as well as learning from others' mistakes, I did need more information. I did need to learn from some good traders. I needed to build and network a community around me of people that I could trust and people with good knowledge. And fortunately, shortly after I took over my job, my bank, for example, employed a couple of people from Merrill Lynch who had been made redundant from Merrill Lynch as the Japanese market was collapsing. They were very knowledgeable. Merrill Lynch had, ideas and knowledge that my investment bank didn't have. And so I sought these people out and I just picked their brains. In addition to that, they were traders in my market that although I traded against them in terms of a market making perspective, I did trust them and we would share ideas from time to time and I did learn from them as well. And so gradually I built my network and my community around me to find good ideas, to bounce ideas off people and hear what could be right or wrong. And that was essential. All through my trading career, I try to build networks of traders around me that I trust, that I believe know what they're doing. And here's an interesting example of how not everybody sort of does this sort of thing. So one of the things that I learned from the traders from Merrill was about implied volatility, gamma, vega. These things in 1990 were very new, very cutting edge. And most traders in my market didn't understand them, even though technically these warrants were option-like products. So I studied this, I learned this, and I knew it gave me edge. Now, my bosses who ran the trading desk saw that I had this information, saw that it was helping me become profitable day after day, and asked me to deliver a training session for my colleagues. No problem at all. I did this during our lunchtimes over a period of a few days. I delivered training sessions. I was 20 or 19 or 20 years old. I delivered training sessions to the rest of my team. Interestingly, none of them used that information. They just went back and continued to do what they were doing before. They had no interest in these new ideas, new knowledge, no interest in building a collective knowledge. And I'll say again that none of these guys were still trading, 5 or 6 years later. None of them. And you can see why. So, even when information's offered, they turned it down and they were not interested. None of them had a community around them of traders that they could trust. And I think this is, a part of the fact of reasons why they failed. So there's 3 things here that I learned very quickly, and all of them helped to put me on that ladder to success. So number 1 was keeping calm, even in the face of, really incredible attacks on me. Number 2 was to learn from the mistakes of people around. And for you, there's lots of traders out there who are losing money. Try to look at what they're doing and why they're losing. And you can even use that. So, for example, part of the reason of the Norton method is it picks up on the failings of a lot of retail futures traders. And I try to profit from that. That's one of the main angles of the Norton method, is to understand other traders' weaknesses and profit from it. And then thirdly, build a community around you. Again, it's something I do with everything that I do in trading, is to build communities. We do it with the Norton method so that you have some trusted people and people that are trying, in the same kind of boat as you. You're in the same journey as them, the same pathway, and that you can talk to and listen to and get ideas from. It is really important. So these are 3 things that early on I learned. Let me know things that you learned that you think that have helped your trading career. And I hope this has, again, helped you to understand what it takes to be a successful trader.